Alrighty, let's go. Welcome back into the Skooshi Sport Podcast, guys. Your team list Tuesday, round 11, Magic Round reaction. Team lists are out. Let's give them a look-see. Apparently, there's a bit of a shake-up. I don't know what to really expect from all facets of it. But let's, not beat around the bush. Let's get straight into the damn thing. Starting off, Sharks and the Doggies. Obviously, no Thursday game. There is a women's state of origin. So, Friday, 6 p.m., we've got Sharks and the Doggies. For the Sharks in this one here, we've got Will Kenny at fullback. We've got Semi Stonestreet on the wing. And Ronaldo Mulatalo makes his return from ACL injury that he got in the Pac Champs last year. Good to see it. It's very good in for the Sharks. Ramian is also making his return. And Iro is there in the other centre. That is pretty much back to full strength there for the Sharkies, obviously apart from Sienna Katoa. Trindle and Hines in the halves. Up front, you've got Adam Fanua-Blake and Toby Rudolph. At hooker, obviously Jaden Bradley is out with a HIA, so Jaden Beryl is stepping in the New South Wales Cup hooker for the Sharkies. Very interested to see how they go. You got Britton Nickera and Teague Wilton on your edges. You got Jesse Colquhoun starting at lock. Oh my god, what's happened to Ken McInnes? I don't think he got injured. See if that's a dropping. He's not on the list, so he must have been injured or got a HIA or something. On the bench, Talakai, Billy Burns, Orican Kafusi, Tom Hazelton, Hohepa Puri, Marwin Hiroti. Yeah, no sign of Ken McInnes, so he must have suffered a knock or some sort of injury. Obviously, Blake Brayley out with the HIA, and good to see Ronaldo is back. That's such a huge boost for the Sharks. I know it's just a winger, but just overall for the vibes of the team, he just does so bloody much for that team. All right, for the Doggies, a fullback, Connor Tracy, retains his spot. On the wing, Jonathan Sewer retains his spot as well. And Inara Tuwala in the centres, Bronson Sherry and Stephen Crichton, so unchanged backline so far. 5'8", Matt Burnham, Lockie Galvin at 7, so unchanged there. Obviously, Matt Burnham back from his illness. Up front, we got Max King returning back from his fractured jaw, I believe it is, and Leo Thompson, so good to see that combo up front for the first time. I get Baylor Hayward at 9. Satili Tupino and Jacob Press on the edge, and Jameis Salmon on at lock. On the bench, Kurt Mann, Sam Hughes, Harry Hayes, AJ Jones, I believe it is, Jethro Renakama, and Lapoi Hopoi. Curran is there in the reserves. Why are they just have hardly make any changes unless they've absolutely had to? Like Max King, obviously back in for Sam Hughes. Backline is unchanged. Like that just got destroyed last week. Early prediction, I would expect the Sharks to really bounce back. I think they could absolutely pound the Doggies. I just don't know why they're not making changes. The Bulldogs are just, yeah, the definition of insanity is to keep doing the same shit over and over again and expecting change. And yeah, it's just not happening. On to Friday night footy, Rabbitohs and the Dolphins. For the Rabbits in this one, Jai Gray at fullback. We have got Bailey Bentley Harpe on the wing for Alex Johnson. I believe he's got an MCL or PCL injury it suffered last week, which is a shame. Latrell Mitchell is back from his back injury, back from his back injury last week. I did hear he is okay to be named, but not guaranteed to play yet. Campbell Graham in the centres. You got Ed Cossey there on the wing, my favourite. In your halves, Cody Walker and Ashton Ward. Up front, you got Kolomatangi and Sean Kepi. You got Bronson Garlick still there at hooker. On your edges, you got Ewan Aiken, Tallis Duncan, and then Cam Murray at lock. And then on your bench, Matt Duffy, Lockie Harbin, Tatavita, Chatola, Adam Elliott, Jaden Sullivan, Bart Sullivan, and Latrell Siegwalt. Still no sign of Cheese. Maybe he's back next week for the bye. Not quite sure. No Mamazolos. That's pretty harsh, I think. Is what Garlic expected to go the full 80 or Bud Sullivan stepping in. Very interesting sort of bench there. Sucks about AJ. And then obviously Ed Cossey retains his spot there. No other major changes there for Souths. For the Fish, I'd say this would be pretty unchanged. Hammer at the back. You got Asako and Cobo on the wings. Bostock and Farnworth in the centres. You've got in the halves Nikarima and Izzy Katoa. Up front, Tom Flegler and Francis Molo. Maxi Plath is a hooker. Still no sign of JMK starting, but it worked last week. On your edges, Lemuelu and Kulikefi Fine Fuyaki. You've also got Morgan Knowles at lock. And on your bench, you got JMK, Ray Stone, Tom Gilbert, Felice Kafusi, Oren Keeley, and Brad Schneider. Trey Fuller there in the reserve, but looks pretty unchanged from last week. That big win against the Doggies. This should be a good game, this one. Two pretty solid teams. Two teams that I think are in form at the moment as well. Obviously, Rabbits home game, but is played obviously at Suncorp. So I'm very intrigued to see how this match does go. All right, in this next match, we got Tigers and the Sea Eagles. This should be a belter. Saturday afternoon, 3 o'clock for the Tigers. Looking for a big bounce back. 2 bad losses in a row. Heath Mason remains at fullback while Drew Bull is out. Taruva and La Lily on the wings. You have Patrick Herbert and Taylor May in the centres. In your halves, Jerome Luai and Jock Madden. Pretty unchanged so far. Terrell May makes his return back from his wife having being in labour. So congratulations to him. And for Noah Bole there, you got Lachi finally there at hooker. So enough of Tristan Hope. He is Lachi Fanu's coming in. That's an interesting change. On your edges, Sione Fanu and Kai Pierce-Paul and Alex Twal gets to start there at lock. Thank goodness he escapes any HIA or injuries. On your bench, Tristan Hope, Maverick Guy, Alex Seyfarth, Royce Hunt, Ethan Roberts, and Jarrell Skelton. Okay, big changes. Obviously, Lachi Fanu starting. I'm very intrigued to see how the service does go there at hooker for them. And then no other changes there for the Tigers. Obviously, Terrell May is back in, which is good news. For the Manly Seagulls, Clayton Falola at fullback, so retains that spot at fullback. That was the late change last week. Jason Saab and Lehigh Hop White on the wings. You got Tolu Kola and Ruben Garrick in the centres. In the halves, Luke Brooks in the 6th. Jamal Fogarty makes a return in the 7th. So no sign of Joey Walsh starting, which I think they've got to pull that pin. I think they've got to do it sooner rather than later, but we'll see how it goes. Paseka and Bullymore up front. You got Jake Simpkins starting at 9 over Brendan Wakeham, who's suspended. You got Ola Kawatu and Burbo on the edges. Jake Troroyich there at lock. On your bench, Jack Docker Clay, Nathan Brown, Kobe Hetherington, Jackson Shero, Blake Wilson, and Joey Walsh there in the 19. Maybe gets on. I'd say Zach Docker Clay, Nathan Brown, Kobe Hetherington get on. It's just who out of these three actually come on as the 4th sub. Joey Walsh could be a really cheeky little super sub to come in for Manly. But man, he was electric last week. He looks like the goods. I think he should be starting with Jamal Fogarty in the halves very, very soon. Good to see Lafayette also there in the reserves lurking. On to the next game, Roosters and the Cowboys, 5:30 for this one here. For the Roosters, James Tedesco at fullback. You got Daniel Tupou and Cody Ramsey there on the wings. Cody Ramsey solo last week retains his spot. Hugo Savala and Bobby Toya there. In your halves, DCE and Sammy Walker. Up front, you got Nath White and Lindsay Collins. Reece Robson at hooker. On your edges, Angus Crichton and Siwa Wong. You got Connor Watson there at lock for the suspended Victor Radley. And on your bench, Egan Butcher, Spencer Lenu, Nat Butcher, Salasi Fiketti, Fedalala Punga, and Reese Foley there. So, no massive surprises. Obviously, Victor Radley suspended, so Connor Watson comes in. The talk around Spencer Lenu getting picked again for the Blues, it just boggles my mind. He's done nothing off the bench for the Roosters this year, and I mean nothing. It just makes zero sense to me there. Roosters looking pretty strong though. For the Cowboys in this one, this is going to be interesting. Obviously due to Tom Bean. So you got Scott Drinkwater at fullback. In your wings, Brandon Burns and Zach Claybart. In your centres, you got Jackson Purdue and Tom Chester. So I haven't moved Purdue, which I find interesting. I thought potential Purdue into 6 and Vilea into the centres, but looks like just kept the back 5 the same. You got Liam Sutton coming in at 6. Now I haven't heard too much about Liam Sutton, so you're more than welcome to let me how he does go. Jake Clifford takes the reins at 7. Up front, you got Thomas McKaylee and Matt Lodge. I hope McKaylee gets more minutes this week. Reed Marnie there at 9, who should be playing 80. Hilliam Lukey and Sam McIntyre on the edge. So, yep. And then at Ruben Cotter there at lock. On your bench, Xavier Karras, Griffin Neem, Robert Derby, Cohen Hess, Wiramu Greg. Well, I haven't heard that name for a while. And Ethan King there. See, Viliama Vilea is there in the centres. I just don't know why they didn't put him in the centres and move Purdue to 6. I obviously love Purdue there at centre. I just thought potentially that would have been an easier change. Purdue knows how to play 6. Haven't heard of Liam Sutton too much. I'm very intrigued to see how he goes. Big pressure moment, especially at Magic Round. As well, sellout crowd. All right, Saturday night game. Meant to be a blockbuster, but I don't really know. 7:45 kickoff for the Eagles. Josh Papali'i retains the spot. Well, not retains the spot. Isaiah Iongi is still out. You got Brian Kelly and the Fox on the wings. Jordan Samrani and Sean Russell at centre. Ronnie Volkman and Mitch Moses in the halves. Up front, you got Luca Moretti and Junior Barlow. Talon De Silva there at 9. In the edge, Kelman Tuolangi and Jack Williams. You got Jack DeBell in there at lock. On your bench, Dylan Walker, Saxon Pryke, Tony Mata'ale, Charlie Garma, Ape Tuaro, Tiancum Brown. Have got Jonah Pezzett just chilling there in the reserves, but I don't think he's going to come on because I think Ronnie Volkman has been really, really strong at the 6th role so far for the Eels. So I think that's pretty unchanged for the Eels off that really good win last week against the Cowboys. For the Melbourne Storm, Saw Falonga is named. Very good signs for the Storm. Obviously, miscommunication with the failed HIA last week and obviously got away with no facial fracture as well, which is huge news for Storm and Super Coaches as well. On your wings, Will Warbrick and Moses Leo makes his return. Holy dooly. Hey, who was there? I just completely... Oh, Hugo Pearce. Hugo Pearce being dropped. Okay, interesting. Moses Leo makes his return. Massive. Cam Munster and Jerome Hughes in the halves. Up front, Stefano Uto-Okamanu and Josh King. Harry Grant, captain and hooker. On your edges, you've got Sean Bloor and Adavalo Lasati, who was an absolute weapon last week, just quietly. Trent Leero standing at lock. And then on your bench, Trent Tolar, Cooper Clark, David Wiley, Joe Chan, Stanley Hewen, and Preston Conn there. Okay. I did not expect Hugo Peel to get dropped. He must be injured because he's not in the team whatsoever. So Moses Leo comes in. He will be on the left, and then so that means Brian Kelly will be on the right. Eels should be attacking that Storm left edge. If it's, I think it'll be Jack Howard and Moses Leo. They should be attacking it all bloody night. It'll be Sam Riney and Brian Kelly. They should be attacking it all bloody night. Absolute all bloody night. No massive changes so far, but I'm probably touching wood here. Titans, on to Sunday afternoon. Titans and the Knights. Really excited for this game, actually. It should be an absolute killer game. Hopefully, I will be there and catching maybe the second half of it. But for the Titans, Keanu Keeney at fullback. On your wings, Jensen Tomapayo and Philip Sami. On the wings at centre, you got Jojo Fafita and AJ Brimson. Bit of an origin audition, I think, for Jojo Fafita, just quietly this game here. In your halves, Janie Campbell and the kept Zane Harrison there, who I was really impressed with. I think this team should be pretty unchanged. I think they were pretty solid last week. Except Mo Fotuaika gets a start this week and Tino Fa'asuamaleaui. So, who is... Okay, they've made a change there. I didn't expect Mo to start. Ollie Pascoe there at hooker, which is good signs. You got Chris Randall, Beau Fermor on the edges. Cooper Bye starts again there at lock. On your bench, Curtis Morin, Cleese Haas. I think Cleese Haas has been relegated back to the bench. Interesting. Josh Patchton, Aaron Mahal, Jalen de Groot, and Luke Summerton there. Okay. I'm intrigued to see with Mo Fotuaika starting again. Like, I don't think he's in the Origin chat this year. Like, nowhere near. He's been very, very poor. But, big thing for the Titans, even though they lost by 16 last week, I just want to see them back up the heart and effort that they put in last week into this week, right? Coming up against a very, very good attacking team, representing essentially Queensland. Sunday afternoon, going to be a big crowd. I want to see them put in some good ticker into this game. And you just never bloody know. Some magic stuff could happen at Magic Ground. As said, coming up a high-flying Newcastle. For Newcastle, KP at fullback there. On your wings, Don Marzu, Dominic Young, and Greg Marzu coming off 5 tries. In your centres, Dan Gargate, Bradman Best. You got Fletcher Sharp and Dylan Brown in your halves. Up front, you got Jacob Saifidi and Trey Moons. Phoenix Crossan starts at 9. On your edge, Jalen Lucas and Jermaine McEwen. Matty Croker starting there at lock. On your bench, Sandon Smith, Tyson Frizzell, Pasami Solo, Cody Hopwood, Harrison Graham, and Fletcher Hunt. Okay. All these changes that I'm hearing about must be, like, obviously, like, AJ's out, that sort of thing, blah, blah, blah. But it must be happening in these last 2 games because, holy shit, there's no been massive surprises. All sort of made sense to me so far. Yeah, I think pretty unchanged there for the Knights. And obviously, Sam Vels is out, so I'll say Ollie Pascoe is in for 80 minutes as well, which is huge for super coaches and fantasy players as well. All right, here we go. Probably, well, I call me biased, the game of the round, I think. Warriors and the Broncos here, 4 o'clock. Absolutely keen as a motherfucking bean for this game. Cannot bloody wait. For the Wars, Tane Torpicki at fullback. On your wings, DWZ and AKP. In your centers, you got Alele Tower and Adam Pompey. Obviously, RTS is out. Very good that we have depth with Adam Pompey to slot straight in it. Ali stays on the right, so Adam goes in on the left. Love to see it. In your halves, CHT, Chanel Harris David, and Tanner Boy, who's just signed an extension to end of 2029, which you'll love to see. Never would have thought at the start of the year. Up front, James Fisher Harris, and Mitch Barnett is getting the start. Oh boy, where is Jackson Ford? Where is Jackson Ford? Okay, where are you going to hooker? Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay, Leko Halasima and Kurt Capel on the edge. Aaron Clark at lock. On your bench, Sam Healy, Jackson Ford on the bench, man. What the fuck is going on there? Okay. Why? Is he carrying a niggle or something? Interesting. Valmunga, Jacob Laban, Tannis Dallas Smith, and Tamari Martin there on the bench. I don't mind Tamari there on the bench. He does deserve it. Luke Hansen there. Still no sign of CNK, so I think he's still injured potentially. I did not expect Jackson Ford to be on the bench. So obviously these three should come on. And then you either got like Jacob Laban or Tannis Dallas Smith to come on. So does that... I don't think... Okay, let's just chat about this. So I'd say 20 minutes. I think Jackson Ford comes on. See, that's interesting. Surely Jackson Ford doesn't play less than fucking 50. I would say Mitch Barnett would move to the edge and Kate Wheeler would come off. And then, or Aaron Clark comes off, Mitch Barnett goes to lock, and Jackson Ford comes on. Let's say Leck is playing 80. Very, very, very intrigued. Okay. Very, very intrigued. I was not expecting that. That's definitely the first big shake-up so far. For the Broncos, Reese Walsh at fullback. On your wings, Karapani and Philip Coates, the younger brother of Xavier Coates. You'll love to see it. It's getting the debut there. See how he goes. He will be on the right. I believe Karapani is usually on the left. He will be marking AKP. Oh, has a massive duel. That is huge duel. I think Coates is quite big like his brother. IKP might be able to burn him on the wings. I'm very intrigued about that matchup. In the centers, Jesse Arthurs and Shibasaki. In your halves, Ezra Mam and Adam Reynolds. Up front, you got Preston Ricky and Xavier Wilson. So good for super coaches that X is back in the middle. He is just an out in that middle, I think. He'll make a bunch of tackles, make some good runs. Corey Pakes there at hooker. On your edges, you got Jaden Hunt and Jordan Ricky. You got Pat Carrigan there at lock. On your bench, do we speak out? Yeah, Adam Reynolds obviously making his return, which is good to see from HIA. On your bench, Benny Hunt, Ben Tolte, Vaya Semu, Albrecht Taffa, Hayes Perham, and then Josh Rogers there. Tom Duffy, not even on the bench. Why is he not on the bench? I would have thought he'd be there easily over Josh Rogers. That just... Tom Duffy's been good, man. That's pretty fucking harsh. But then again, we have Timari Barton usually on our reserve. So who am I? Who am I to chat? We don't even have Luke Metcalf there. So obviously Luke Metcalf, I'll talk about in another video. He's also been accepted for a release, like granted a release, which is, look, it's a shame, but we have so much depth and we're going really well. We're flying at the moment. It does suck. He's very injury prone though. I get it from an admin perspective, but it does suck. I love Luke. He's probably my favorite player, honestly, on the Warriors. But yeah, interesting squad there by the Broncos. Preston, Ricky, and Xavier Wilson up front. That is not a combination that they were looking at the start of the year. Yeah, I'm very intrigued by this team. Very intrigued by this match. Very intrigued. To the last game of the round, Panthers and the Dragons. Like 6:25. Okay, hold your breath, Dragons fans. At fullback, Dylan Edwards for the Panthers. On the wings, Tom Jenkins, Milky Bar Kid, and Brian Toto. In your centers, Paul Alamotti and Casey McLean. In your halves, Blaze Talangi and Nathan Cleary. Up front, you got Moses Leota and Lindsay Smith. You got Freddie Lussick there at hooker. On your edge, IPAP and Luke Garner. Azayo there at lock. On your bench, Jack Cogger, Scott Sorensen, Liam Henry, Isaac Tongo, Billy Phillips, and Billy Scott there. No massive surprises there, I think, for the Panthers. Pretty unchanged from last week. For the Dragons, off that bye and then the slacking. So, Caltho there at fullback. You got Seti 2 and Tui Palotri there in the wings. You got Moses Sully making his return. That's a really good return. And Val Holmes there. In your half, I did hear Cade Reed is out for 2 to 3 months. So that means Daniel Atkinson and Kyle Flanagan are back in the half. So Atkinson back into 6, Kyle Flanagan back into 7. Flanagan's just swapping from 6 to 7 all bloody year. I don't get it. Up front, you got Pacifici, Tonga, and Toby Catchman. Damien Cook there, a hooker. On your edges, Dylan Egan and Hamish Stewart. That sucks for Leilua. Fuck it. I own him as super coach. I held him for this reason. Fuck. Ryan Catchman there at lock. Great sign for Catchman. Like, the Catchman deserve to be starting. I guess Hamish Stewart deserves to be as well. But, yeah, sucks for Leilua owners, pod owners. On your bench, spoke about Leilua, Emre Gula, Josh Kerr, Blake Laurie, Tyrell Sloan, and LKT there. I don't know how many minutes Leilua is going to get. That's very interesting. That does suck. He's probably a sell now. Sorry to talk about my team, but yeah, looks like a sell. But that'll do it for me, guys. That is your live reaction to TLT. Obviously, the biggest shake-up is got to be Jackson Ford on the bench, definitely. I'm very intrigued to see this rotation. Obviously, Mitch Barnett starting. Would not shock me if there's a late change and Jackson Ford ends up starting. He's carrying a niggle. I don't know Mitch Barnett goes to lock or goes to edge. I'd say Capel's not playing 80. You got to also get Vaimunga on there. You've got to get Sam Healy on, and then you got to get Jackson Ford. And it's just whether that last reserve there, Jacob Laban or Stowers Smith gets used. But one that shocked me, I did not see that coming. Hadn't heard no mail about it. But we'll see how it goes on Sunday at Magic Round. Mate, Magic Round this weekend, cannot bloody wait. Let me know if you're going, and let me know what you think of these team lists here. But that'll do it for me, guys. Trade room and buy planner video should be coming out very soon for you. That'll do it for me, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and cheers.